Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Mike Mahalik here, and I want to talk about severe weather in the Northeast today. And we could take a look at it. It's already getting started here. You could see on the satellite picture. So I'm going to show you here what we have going on. Basically, we're keying on currently this complex of storms that's developing right here in northwest Pennsylvania. There's also, it looks like a remnant MCV coming across the Lake Erie here. And that basically is going to give the forcing for these thunderstorms to continue as they press on eastward. And you can kind of get a look at it a little bit better here on radar. You can see the thunderstorms are already firing here in northwest Pennsylvania. You could kind of see what I'm talking about, this push. You see that fast push of echoes coming across the lake there? That's what's kind of giving energy to these storms that are already exploding here in northwest Pennsylvania. And that will kind of continue to propagate that east to east-southeastward across central Pennsylvania down through Lehigh Valley, closer to Philadelphia, maybe towards Trenton, those areas in New Jersey as we go into this afternoon. Thinking that will probably be more like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So, what's kind of sustaining this? Well, basically, what we have here is something called an EML, and you can see that on these mid-level lapse rates, which is higher up in the atmosphere a little bit. And 7 to 7.5 is pretty high for this area of the country. That indicates a dry layer aloft. It allows the instability to become a bit greater with that dry layer there, and also can add fuel to those thunderstorms to really pop once they get into that region. So, one thing that does show it pretty well, CAPE is the measure of instability that we talked about before. Right now, a lot of the CAPE is elevated CAPE, so we don't have surface-based CAPE right now. So this is pretty much the elevated CAPE that are seeing across the area, basically 500 to 1,000 joules. But heating is occurring very rapidly here late this morning and into the afternoon. So once we get the surface cape to pop, we're probably going to reach somewhere between 1,500 joules, maybe even 2,000, a few spots closer to Philadelphia. So that's quite a bit of fuel for the Northeast. One model that is showing this pretty well is the WRF ARW2, and you can see it has the thunderstorms blowing up here across northwest Pennsylvania this morning, and then eventually it develops into this bowing segment of thunderstorms. And typically, when you see that bow shape to thunderstorms, that usually means there's strong winds within that line of storms. So, something we are really watching, see if that gets to form here late this morning through the midday hours. I think it does take shape. The placement of it is going to be hard, but I do think it's probably towards Lehigh Valley, I-78 in Pennsylvania, somewhere in this general vicinity, and areas to the south. Places to the north of 78, up into the Poconos, up into northwest New Jersey. Probably going to see weakened form of these storms based on some convection. Some thunderstorm activity that started here in north central Pennsylvania and is moving and kind of contaminating that area of thunderstorms that's developing out to the west here. So, as we said before, these storms likely come through probably around noontime, 1 o'clock into these areas of southeast Pennsylvania and central New Jersey here. So something we're certainly watching. Now, beyond that, after that segment of thunderstorms goes through, there is still a chance of severe weather. Now, while we're just considering damaging winds for the most part with that first line, the next area of thunderstorms that does develop starts popping across central Pennsylvania again later this afternoon. We're talking about after 4, 5, 6 o'clock, something like that. These could develop into some supercell structures, which are more discrete cells. They're not a big line. And those can create some hail, some larger hail with them. Also, some damaging winds with those, but a bit more isolated. So, something we are watching for later in the day. So, really, two severe threats today here across Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And this will eventually, these supercell structures that develop here later in the day will actually congeal into a more of a line as it gets towards the Mason-Dixon line and sags further south into Delaware, into Maryland, and those areas. So that's kind of what we're looking at here this afternoon. Thanks for staying with us on this quick update, but we'll have more as the afternoon goes on. Hopefully it doesn't get too severe for some areas, but certainly something that we need to watch here as we head through the afternoon and into the evening hours. I am Mike Mahalik here, meteorologist at WeatherWorks, and please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the social media channels. We're all there for any other new weather updates.